Previously on the Diaries of Grandpa.
My God, they had finished the sage incense ritual in the living room. Why was my father trying to hide something while all of this was happening? A friendly reminder to you. If there's something more dangerous than a wild wolf, it's a curious person. Because I was a child, I wanted to know more and was very curious. I was, in fact, the walking danger. Anyway, I had knocked over the pencil box on the table corner. I think my mother heard the sound. She called out to me asking if I was okay and what had fallen. My sister skipped happily to my mother and told her I had dropped the flashlight. I quickly returned to the room, picked up the pencils I had knocked over, and continued reading where I left off.
If he hadn't been in shock that night and taken one more step toward me, I would have had to kill my grandson. But I need to be more careful, because the curious boy's eyes are now on me. No matter what, I will protect them. But I won't be able to keep them away much longer, because witness protection programs don't work when it comes to darkness. My grandchildren are facing a great danger. I don't know how much longer I can protect them.
Who was my dear grandfather really, and what kind of darkness was he involved in?
I climb the stairs 2 steps at a time. I am the Incense girl.
They're coming. I understand my grandfather better now, but back then, no one could explain this to me. That's why I needed to learn more. I decided to go all the way, but all this excitement and adrenaline were too much for my small heart to handle. I could accept fear, but excitement and adrenaline were a bit too overwhelming for me. Actually, to admit the truth, I really loved the feeling that adrenaline gave me. My mother and grandmother started slowly climbing the stairs. I froze while looking at the things my grandfather had written in his diary. Everything was a blur. For a moment, I wondered if I had placed the pencils in the right spot, but then I realized I was still holding my grandfather's diary. I scolded myself. I immediately put the diary back in the secret compartment where I had taken it from. Then I quickly ran out of the room. I went outside, but I couldn't stray too far from the door. An idea came to me. I rolled one of the flashlight batteries I had dropped toward the bathroom door. Then I started looking for it. They already knew I had dropped the flashlight. I would pretend to be searching for the missing battery. This way, I could explain what I had been doing in the study room. Very simple. I dropped the flashlight, and one of the batteries went missing. That's it. My mother approached me with the sage she had been burning and asked me what I was looking for. I told her that I had lost one of the batteries of my flashlight and was looking for it. Then my grandmother headed toward the bathroom door, picked up the battery from the floor and said, "Is this what you're looking for?" I thanked her and sang, "Thank you, Grandma. I couldn't find that battery either." Well, my mother and grandmother looked at each other. I guess I hadn't fooled them again. They suspected something, but they didn't have any proof. They just knew I was hiding something. As they were burning incense upstairs, I noticed they were looking around more carefully. They were trying to figure out what I was hiding from them. But since they didn't know what they were looking for, they couldn't find anything. My grandmother turned to me and asked, "Did you wipe under the desk in the study?" So I think she was suspicious of something. I answered her, "Yes, Grandma, I wiped it, but I might not have wiped the farthest corner very well because I bumped my head on the desk." Well, I think my grandmother had noticed that something on the desk had been moved. By saying I had bumped my head on the desk, I coded her mind to believe that her suspicion was incorrect. Hoping she would believe this lie, I asked, "Do you want me to wipe it again, Grandma?" My grandmother asked me to wipe under the desk again. So I started wiping under the desk again. But they had already suspected me once. From now on, I had to be more careful. While they were moving around the other rooms, I started wiping under the desk with apple cider vinegar. But there were questions in my mind that I couldn't answer. At the same time, there was a truth I had trouble accepting while reading the diary. I knew my grandfather as a police officer, but if I wasn't mistaken, my grandfather might have hurt someone. In fact, he might not have been a good person. The smell of blood that lingered on my grandfather the night of the birthday party supported this. But what was the other foul smell on my grandfather? What was that smell like rotten eggs? I wondered what it was that smelled like sulfur. Did bad people smell like sulfur? My grandfather couldn't have hurt anyone or made anyone upset, because my grandfather was a very good person, and as a police officer, he protected good people from bad ones. Therefore, he couldn't hurt anyone. So, why had he written in his diary that he might have to kill me? I really couldn't find the answers to these questions. As I couldn't find the answers, I started to suspect everyone in the house. Because, after the events of the birthday party, my grandfather, father, mother, and grandmother seemed like different people. Everyone in the house, except my sister, had started to act distant and suspicious toward me. But I hadn't done anything to them. Of course, what scared them so much was the possibility of their secrets coming to light. And of course, they loved me. My family loved me so much that they had even considered sending me to the other world. I guess that was the purest form of love. I mean, loving someone so much that you'd be willing to send them to the other world to protect them from something. I guess the thing my family feared would hurt me more than going to the other world. They didn't want me to experience that pain. But I was just an innocent child, trusting in my whistle and flashlight. Or maybe, as you think, I wasn't that innocent after all. What do you think I'm trying to say?